Hello again. This is your Mary, quite contrary, or whatever you want to call me. I found an entry in Granny Merle's journal 3 times about cataract surgery. So I had to put them all together and find the ones that made sense. I think she was trying to get all the details as accurately as possible. I know that she wrote one very shortly after her surgery. Another one was written a few months later, and then the other one was written even later than that. But she called the entry Cataract Surgery in the 90s. I shall begin this by saying, thank God, from whom all blessings flow. In the 1960s, Mama, meaning my grandmother, had cataract surgery and had to lie with sandbags on each side of her head for 9 days in a dark room. Connie and Jane stayed with her, and they were in a dark room, could not even do any kind of handwork or read, so they too had a long procedure. I knew for 6 years that I had cataracts, and at some point I would need surgery, according to how fast they would grow. Many things contribute to one having this foggy film develop over the eyes. Nutrition, sun without eye protection, environment, or inheritance. I managed to get my driver's license renewed, but in 1992, when it was renewal time again, I could not read the chart with my right eye. The lady tried many times and many ways to get me to see it. Finally, she said, "You will have to get a letter from your optometrist." Needless to say, I was heartsick. I made a quick trip to Clear Vision Eye Center and told Harry, the owner, about my plight. He said, "Dr. Boatwright is here today." It was as if the doctor was waiting for me. I was in the office, eye dilated, exam, note written, and out of there, and I had my driver's license in 90 minutes. What a relief. But again I heard, "You have cataracts," just in the early stage. Each year it was the same story. Plus each time I heard, "You have holes behind your eyes." Finally, I asked about that. These holes are untreatable, inherited from someone generations back. See what my ancestors left for me, and maybe you, although few people get them. The holes seem to bother reflections, as they are small valleys, as if in a camera the reflector had pits in it. They keep one from focusing on small spots. I could never cross-stitch or pick splinters out of small hands. It's in the genes. Like how all of my children can roll up their tongue and blow, yet I can't. That was something that my mother and I used to laugh about because I could do this, but I couldn't do the Spock handshake or symbol. My mother could do that without even batting an eye. 1996, and time for my eye exam. Dr. Boatwright said, "Merle, nothing has changed except the cataract is ready to remove." I knew that, as I would often ask Joe to adjust my TV. Joe would touch the knobs and say, "You may need a new antenna." Now my TV color is just fine. I would also ask, "Is it foggy today?" Now I can tell. So, Dr. Boatwright and I decided to go ahead and plan surgery for July 15th for a visit for blood work and July 16th for outpatient surgery. Jane went with me both days. I was told I could go alone for blood work and EKG. Jane went, and I'm very glad. At the doctor's office, he went over what was to happen and finished by saying, "All cataract surgery isn't successful. You could go blind. You could hemorrhage." Your body may reject the implant. And I said, not on your or my life. There will be an angel on your shoulder while you do this surgery. Now, for those of you who've often asked me, my mother was one of the people who told me about angels and introduced me to them. Dr. Boatwright explained what would happen. I would be given anesthesia. I'd hear him and his staff talking. The eyelid would be rolled back and a small incision would be made. A laser would break up the cataract and an implant put in place. My eyeball would be restitched and I'd have a patch on for 24 hours. So on Tuesday, Jane drove me down and waited. I believe if I'd asked, Jane could have gone into surgery with me. The staff at the outpatient clinic were superb. They let Jane in the prep room and asked all kinds of questions, especially about allergies and if I needed to use the bathroom. They asked that one over and over. They must have had experiences before. The doctor came into the prep room and grabbed my bed. He pulled me into the operating room. Meanwhile, he said, "You're number 6 today. We saved the best for last." I asked him, "Are you tired?" And he said, "No, I could do 6 more." I told him, "If you're tired, let's take a break for a while." But by then, a shield was over my left eye, the one not to be operated on, and I was getting unwound, talking to the Blessed Mother Mary. I heard them talking about what was needed for the next step in the surgery, and I remember making an ahem noise. The doctor said, "Merle, are you hurting?" I grunted back, so I must have gotten more good juice because I didn't grunt anymore. Finally, the doctor said, "Time," and someone told him. He said, "Merle, 5 more minutes and we're finishing on time." Then he said, 2 minutes under the wire. Let's go back to Jane." The recovery room was moving at a slower pace. Getting me up, dressed, I drank something and went to the bathroom. Got a shot in the arm. Jane heard one nurse remind another not to give me a certain antibiotic as I was so allergic. Jane and I got in the car. I had a patch on the operated eye. For 24 hours, the patch must stay. We decided, after I was half blind, to settle for a milkshake. Jane offered to put the straw in mine when we got away from the pickup window, but I was already drinking it. She decided the lid on the shake was in Braille. Jane spent the first night with me, and for that, thank you, Jane. The next day, Bernie drove me back, and the doctor took the patch off and said that I could go back to work in 5 days. See you in 2 weeks, and then in 4 months. Bernie went to her home after settling me down, but she returned to spend the night with me, and I was glad. Thanks to Bernie for helping and the rest for their concern and care. At the 4-month checkup, Dr. Boatwright prescribed new lenses for my eyeglasses. They came 5 days later, and when I put them on, the wall in front of me just rolled. Harry explained that the left eye had been working for a long time, for both eyes. Now, the right eye is stronger, and the brain will take a few days to send the messages to the right eye. The 3rd day, I was getting very nauseous and weak. At Jane's suggestion, I called Harry. Harry said I could patch either eye, but I decided not to, as when the patch came off, it would be just a to-do all over again. By the 5th day, it was all good. Again, thanks to God, from whom all blessings flow. And she signed this one, simply Merle. Thank you all for listening and watching, and I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Bye.